Hi everybody, this is Boogass Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a review on McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Megafig Movie Darkseid figure. So before we take a look at Darkseid, let's take a look at all of the accessories that he comes with. First up, he comes with your standard DC Multiverse base, and he doesn't need it. It's kind of weird that he comes with a normal base. You would figure he'd come with a bigger one since he's a mega figure. Up next, he comes with his data file. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause that now. And finally, he comes with his staff. And this looks really good. It's got a lot of sculpt detail to it, and it has a wash over it that brings out the details very nicely. So now let's go ahead and take a look at his head sculpt. So taking a look at the head sculpt, I think McFarlane Toys did a really awesome job on this. All the texturing to his skin looks really good. The shading around the eyes also looks good. And if you look closely, he actually has some variation in color to his eyes. When you have lights on, it almost looks like they're glowing. They're done in a really nice color. I would have preferred a little bit more of a wash to his face because there is just a little bit, but it's not a lot because there's a lot of sculpted detail on there. Kind of like his body. His body has a lot of sculpted detail as well, but it doesn't have a whole lot of a wash to it, so some of the details aren't brought out as much. He also has his, I don't know if you could consider it a helmet, but it's done in a metallic blue and looks really nice. My only complaint is that mine is loose. As you can see there, it'll slip off his chin, or it'll just move up when I'm trying to pose him. So yeah, I do need to glue that down. I don't know if they're all like that, but yeah, just a little bit of glue right there should solve that. So as I said, there's some really nice texturing to his body. You can faintly see the Omega symbol there on his chest. Like I said, it could definitely use a little bit more of a black wash just to bring those details out a little bit more. All of his armor is done in a soft, rubbery type of plastic, and it's done in that metallic blue color. And as you can see, there is a little bit of variation to the color in it. Some spots are lighter and some are darker, and it also has a little bit of texturing to it. So yeah, that looks really good. McFarlane went to using normal joints for this figure, and that's kind of odd. I've gotten so used to the ball joints that it was weird seeing a swivel that just moves up and down and side to side. I also wanted to say there are a bunch of QC issues with this figure, and I did encounter them, but I was able to fix it. Like, for example, right here, Darkseid's shoulder was fused to his bicep because in the package he's posed like this, and it was fused right here. So all I did was just boil the figure in some hot water, and that fixed it. There was another issue which I will get to in a second. So I've seen some people complaining about his lower torso right here being a little too small compared to his upper torso, and it is just a little bit smaller, but it's not as noticeable as you may think. Having it in hand, it's definitely better than the pictures. I don't know why, but pictures really don't do figures justice. Sometimes they do, but in this case, I think it looks a lot better than the promo pictures. You get the loincloth and thigh armor right there, and as I said, it's done a really nice metallic color, and it's really soft so it doesn't hinder the articulation. And he has more of that armor down here, and it will shift up and down because it's a soft separate piece. So when you're posing it around, it does tend to slip up and down. Now here is the other issue I had. The ankles. Neither of them wanted to move. It's on a ball joint that goes up into the shin right here and into the foot. And I had to boil the figure, pop it out, and shave the peg down on both sides. And now it can move all the way around, up and down, and everything. But yeah, when you get this figure, definitely be careful and either use a hairdryer or boil it in some hot water. Definitely be careful when you're using both, and don't harm your figure. But that is what I had to do to mine to avoid all the breaking, because I've seen so many people breaking this figure. So yeah, as soon as you get it, don't even try to pose it around because you won't be able to. I'm not sure why the pegs are so big, but the pegs are so big that it's just a tight fit and it doesn't want to move. But once I boiled it and popped it out and shaved the peg down on both sides, like I said, now it moves. Not sure why it's like that, but that's what I did to mine, and I was able to save it. Luckily, I did not break the figure. So now, let's go ahead and go over his articulation. He has a ball-jointed head that can look up just a little bit. The armor back here does hinder that. He can't really look down that far either, but he can move his head side to side. He has ball jointed shoulders that can move all the way out. And he doesn't have butterfly joints, but it does move back and forth and up and down just a little bit like a butterfly joint would. He has swivel at the bicep that can move side to side. He has double jointed elbows that can bend in all the way. He has swivel at the wrist that can move side to side, down all the way, and back all the way. Like I said, this armor is very soft, so that won't be hindered at all. It's still really strange seeing this. Like I said, I would have preferred ball joints just because that's what I'm used to with McFarlane by now. He has a ball jointed diaphragm and waist that can move back all the way. He can crunch forward all the way. He can move each one side to side very slightly. The waist does move side to side more so than the diaphragm joint up here. He has hips that can do a complete split. And they swivel really nicely. As you can see, they swivel side to side really nicely. And I do think more figures should be like this. I think the only reason that this one has some really good hip articulation there is because of this loincloth thing. Not really loincloth, but the armor right here, because that hides all of the articulation under here, so of course they can make the joint like that. But anyways, he has a really nice thigh swivel. He has single jointed knee that can only bend in that far, and it can also move side to side. And he has ball jointed ankles that can move down all the way, up all the way, spin all the way around, and toe articulation that can move up all the way. So now, let's do some size comparisons. So first up, here he is next to his Mezco comic counterpart. Here he is next to the Mattel Steppenwolf Build-A-Figure. The Mega figure of him is next on my list. Here he is next to the Mattel DC Multiverse Ares Build-A-Figure. And this is more in line with what we saw in the Snyder Cut. He didn't have those weird flaming swords. But yeah, the design is more like what we see with the Build-A-Figure here. Here he is next to Wonder Woman. Here he is next to Cyborg. And finally, here he is next to my modded out Aquaman. This one, I ended up trimming some pieces off of the head and swapping the hair with the Mattel version. And I think it looks a lot better. So overall, despite the QC issues, I would highly recommend picking this up because it is a really awesome figure. Like I said, if you boil it or use a hairdryer on it straight out of the package and trim those pegs down on the ankles and get those shoulders unstuck, then you should be fine. You should be able to pose him around and do whatever you need to do with him. So that's my review. If you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.